Hi, I'm Brian Ritchie from Violent Femmes, and this is Records in My Life on northerntransmissions.com.
Don't remember anything you said. I don't remember any books that you ever had read.
And I think I'll start with the first album I ever bought, which was Fragile by Yes. Ironically, we just listened to this in the dressing room yesterday because they had a little record player in there, and they had a whole bunch of old vinyl, and so I picked that out and we actually listened to that in the dressing room. It was the first band I saw, but the record blew my mind because Chris Squire's bass playing, so dominant and completely leading the band. And ever since I heard that, it was the first thing I heard, well, I just didn't know any better. So that's the reason why I play the way I do now. Second record which really influenced me was T-Rex, A Beard of Stars. I love T-Rex because they were, and it kind of ties in with what the Femmes do because it was rock and roll, and clearly rock and roll. The early stuff was acoustic, so it was, I guess what I took away from that, besides just liking it, was that you can really rock even if you're just playing acoustic instruments, which is something that strongly, well, that's basically the basis of the Violent Femmes sound. You know, maybe not the material, but the sound itself. Albert Ayler, there was an album called The Impulse Story, I believe, and it was a compilation of his Impulse recordings, and he's a very radical, at that time, improvising saxophone player who at that point was probably the most far out sax player that had happened yet, and that really influenced me to think about music in terms of improvising. And I got into jazz pretty much that way, like throwing myself in the deep end, and then kind of caught up with history of jazz after that, and it's still very strong influence on the band.
Sorry, it was somebody wanted to talk to me, and I gotta like get ready for the show, but I just thought.
I did 3 albums. Great. They only need 5.
You were doing great.
So here, why don't you do the other 2?
Informative. But if there can be just, let me do 1. Yeah. Because all right.
Here.
1 record from you and 1 record.
Here, just talk.
All right. Yeah. All right. So
talk to the neck.
The one that people might not think of, most people wouldn't think of, is Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers live at Max's Kansas City. That was a big inspiration for me. I saw that show, not the night that was recorded, but I saw that show in New York when I was 15, and it was the most exciting rock and roll experience I ever had, ever will. I think it has something to do with being 15. But there was something from that. I loved the way he played guitar, and there was something of a swagger and a recklessness in what they were doing, even with still just basic kind of rock and roll. And that was an inspiration to me. Was tremendously exciting, and I think that has, lessened over the years, I think, as far as that incredible, thing. And I feel like I got so into it at that time, I almost never listened to it anymore. But hopefully there's still some remnants of that in our performance and in what I do.
And is there, what about 1 record that you guys, give us 1 record which kind of brought the band, or you bonded on, like when you were really, years ago?
Well, I think that we're like almost every other band maybe that we might know, that I think that in the group probably our number 1 album would be Velvet Underground first album. I think that was probably it.
Definite,
and I know that's not any news to anybody,
but
it's
songwriting,
that great.
The way they improvise, use of
everything.
Unusual instrumentation, the fearlessness of it, the fact that it was presented as a work of art rather than as a commercial product. All of that stuff would be an influence on us, but as Gordon says, on everybody else too. But the cool thing is that we didn't try to sound like them. And actually, Maureen Tucker came to see us play on our first tour after the first album was released, and she said, I came because everyone said you sound like us, but you don't.
Thank you.
We want to have a quick
See ya.
shot, Gordon?
Nope.
We need to wrap something.
Gotta do a scale.
It's
That's great.
cinema verite.